What's up, y'all? It's Myles the Millennial.
And it's your boy Rex Howard Jr.
And this is Let's Talk Like Men, the podcast where we have real conversations about real topics, giving real advice to men like you everywhere. And we're back again with another episode. This is episode 49. We are almost at 50 episodes, man. Rex, how you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling blessed for multiple reasons. One, God woke me up, but also two, my call this morning with my guys, I brought on an estate attorney
Hmm.
to talk about the power of wills, trust, and having power of attorneys over your information, over your estate, so that your kids can be taken care of, and your family can be taken care of. So I'm always blessed to have new information, and then also geek because I was doing my numbers. I think I'm week 40 when it comes to the group. So we are 12 weeks away from
Wow.
being a year straight with the morning mastery every single day, Monday through Friday. So that's right there in itself is a blessing. So I'm feeling good. How you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling blessed too, bro. You know, things have just been coming into place, man. You guys know I've been telling y'all this for months and months and months. My journey was speaking and growing my business. And all I can say without saying too much is if you stay in your season of serving, there will be a season of increase
Yeah.
whenever it's time. But the problem is we get so focused on when. Stop worrying about when, focus on what. What is the Lord telling me to do? Keep doing the what. He'll bless you when it's time. So I just had some powerful meetings this week. I'm excited for us because we have two more podcasts that we're going to be recording this week.
Yeah.
So we're going to be on IG Live with Oh That's Fallon tonight,
Yeah.
and then we're going to be on That's What He Said podcast
She
tomorrow.
said.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
I think it's That's What He Said.
Oh, one of them two.
That's What He Said podcast tomorrow. So super excited just for the ways the Lord is bringing in blessings to us, giving us more opportunities to get this name of Let's Talk Like Men out to the world, and impact more men and women across the world.
That's extremely dope. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Today's episode is going to be blessed, guys. It's going to be amazing because we're going to have a conversation. This conversation was actually inspired by somebody reaching out to us and giving us this idea. So, guys, this is something that we've told you. If you guys have ideas for episodes, send them to us. If it's something you want to see us talk about, something that is a dynamic that needs to be addressed, whether that's in men, whether that's in dating, personal development, whatever it is, send it to us so that we can get some ideas about what you guys want to hear us talk about, and we'll make an episode out of it. This episode came from a subscriber, and they brought up managing a long distance relationship. They're in a long distance relationship, struggles between them and their partner, trying to figure out how they're going to make this work. And so today's episode is going to be about long distance relationships. What are the things that make them fail? And how can you, when you're in them, learn how to sustain and thrive within them? So without further ado, man,
Hey,
let's talk like men.
Let's do it.
Cool. So, Rex, before we hop into point number one, why is it so important that we have a discussion about long distance relationships, in the first place? Isn't it just a relationship all the same?
It's so important because in today's day and age, social media is on the rise, right?
Mhm.
So we're meeting more and more people online.
Yeah.
And if we don't know how to manage communication, we don't know how to manage relationships, we don't know how to manage staying connected, although we're in different locations,
Yeah.
then we'll never have fruitful relationships. Not many people are getting out anymore. They're
Yeah.
on a date from their phones.
Yeah.
Not many people are going to local bars, local restaurants, local lounges to meet people. So we're meeting people online.
Mm.
And in order to sustain that, you have to learn how to manage it. So that's why it's going to be important.
That's good. I didn't even think about it from that perspective, but that is a very real truth. You may find yourself truly connected to a person through your DMs on Instagram. You may find real connection through the social media content that you post, but this person could be 500 miles away, right? They could be across the country from you. If you really believe that this person is worth it and your fear is long distance, this episode is going to be important for you to learn how to navigate that
Yeah.
and say, okay, if we're going to do this, this is going to help us be successful at it. So I want to hop right into it. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go
All
start
right,
us
cool.
off. All right, so if you want to be able to manage a long distance relationship or prevent it from failing, you must be creative. And the reason I say creative is because it's not like you can see them every day,
Yeah.
right? Depending on how far you are. I was in a relationship before and was 14 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're 14 hours away, you both have jobs, you both have families, you both have priorities. You have to be creative in ways that we connect. You got to be creative in the ways that you plan dates. you may not be able to do in-person dates, but you can do on the phone dates.
Yeah.
You can do dates where you guys are eating dinner together, making the dinner together, doing like a paint with a twist. You get her the tools, have them sent to her house.
Yep.
She does the painting from her side on FaceTime. There's going to be times where you guys need to have a movie night
Yep.
on the phone,
Yep.
and you have to plan and create these things. You also need to be creative in the way that y'all plan on seeing each other.
Yeah.
Let's just say you can only see your partner from long distance once a quarter or once a month.
Yeah.
All right, who's gonna come to who?
Yep.
Are you staying with me, or do we got to get an Airbnb? Are we planning to go out of town? So, but if you're not creative when it comes to aspect, you can lose. I'm not gonna say spiciness,
Yeah.
but the relationship won't
It won't have that
it
fire.
won't have that fire. It
Yep.
won't thrive, and your partner feels when you're being creative, and they feel when you're not being creative.
Yeah.
And it's very important that you're intentional about how you start and that you keep it going,
Yeah.
because there's too often a lot of men. I'm only going to speak for men. They jump into a relationship with fire,
Yeah.
right? I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to travel here. I'm willing to do this. And the minute you get a couple months in, they lose that drive
Yeah.
and their creativity goes away with it. And now their partner just feels like they're just going through the motions, and that makes them question the relationship. So
That's real.
creativity is one of those things that's going to make or break your relationship.
Not that's real. It's thinking outside the box
Yeah.
because you're not in a typical circumstance where you guys can just see each other,
Yeah.
right? Um, that is something, me and my lady were together during COVID, right? We were in college, we were dating in college, and COVID hit. So you're talking about going from literally being on campus with this person. I shared classes with her.
Yeah.
I'm seeing her every single day versus, and I'm at a small campus like Fisk, right? Where it's only 800 students.
Yeah.
I'm seeing her every single day. Two, out of nowhere, within 48 hours, she's back home in Michigan. I'm back home in Texas. We're 14 hours, we're more than 14 hours apart, thousands of miles away. And you have to think about how are we going to make this relationship still sustain and grow when now we have to completely change our routine, the way
Yeah.
that we operate. We used to be able to just be around each other and that was enough. Well, now since we don't have the physical presence of each other, what are ways that we're going to be able to connect? And you're absolutely right, because something like cooking together was something that we did. We would
Yeah.
make meals. All right, cool. What are we making tonight? We're gonna make spaghetti. And you tell me how yours turned out. I'm gonna tell you how mine turned out.
Yeah.
When anniversaries or Valentine's Day come up in COVID, we couldn't even get together because for those first few moments, our anniversary is in May. So you're talking about in March it hit. Nobody was able to go outside.
Yeah.
You couldn't get on flights and go, see your partner and hang with them. So we had to spend that anniversary apart, but we had to be so intentional about, okay, how are we going to celebrate this moment and be creative and come up with innovative ways to be able to connect without making it just feel like we're going through the motions.
100%. And just to reiterate something for the people that are listening and you're in a long distance relationship, let me give you a couple ideas just off the bat,
Yep.
right? One is a movie night.
Hmm.
But you decide who's going to pick the movie. You set your phone up on FaceTime. You mute each other so you're not being
You
interrupted
spot
by
on, bro.
by by the sounds. You get your popcorn and y'all converse after the movie. Number two is paint with a twist. You can literally go to Five Below, get all the utensils, the canva, the paint, and everything, and you decide what you're going to be painting that night. Either you tell your partner that she can go pick it up, or you send it to them. And y'all sit down together on FaceTime and y'all
Yep.
create that experience. Number three, you decide that you guys are gonna make dinner together.
Hmm.
Maybe you do something that's creative. Don't do nothing that's too crazy,
Yep.
but do something that you both have the capacity to do.
Yep.
Number four, y'all get dressed for brunch.
Yeah.
Get dressed for brunch, go to somewhere low key. There's not too much background noise. You set your phone up and down. You're trying to meal. Your partner's trying to meal. You
Yep.
guys conversing. And the last one I'm going to give you guys is a card game. There's a lot of conversations like let's get deeper. A lot of
Hmm.
different ones. But one of you guys buy the card game, and y'all go one at a time. You ask the question, you answer the question. This allows for the two of you to get deep, to connect, and to make meaningful connections when you're not together.
That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. Look, me and my lady still do movie nights on FaceTime.
Yeah,
And even though we're in the same city, we're in Houston, bro.
yeah,
Houston is so big that it feels like you in other cities if you're
yeah,
on different parts. So there are some weekends where I may not see her unless it's us going to church,
yeah,
right? And so we be missing each other. All right, cool. Go ahead and get on Netflix. I'm gonna tell you when to start.
Yeah, you
Three,
have
two,
to.
one. You click that
No.
start. All right, mute, mute, mute.
Yeah.
And you do your thing, man, and y'all watch it together. And it's something about just the fact that you're doing it,
Yep.
man, that matters to your woman, matters to you. And every single time I bring that up, because I'm a busy person, like I see the light in my lady's eyes when I say, "Babe, let's watch a movie this weekend."
Yeah. The
You know what I'm
gate.
saying? Let's get on FaceTime. I know you studying, you're in school, you don't have time to go out of the house, and I don't have time. Like, it's okay. Let's go put a movie on and watch it from our respective homes and do it that way. And every single time she's like, okay.
Get soup, bro.
She's always excited
Yep.
for it. And that's just a charge to you, fellas. Like the creativity, it will come from her end as well, but you set the tone. And so if you bring up creativity as being something that's going to be important for your relationship to be able to thrive in long distance, she will then follow suit, and you'll be in a beautiful cycle of finding creative ways to make sure each person feels loved, feels seen, feels connected. So
100%. And let me add this final two things.
yeah.
Fellas, if you really want to win her over in a long distance relationship, the times that she feels sick, get her a care package sent to the house,
Mm.
whether that consists of just medicine, some gummies, just some teas, a teddy bear.
And a
You
taser.
and no facts. No, listen, that's funny. So you can have that sent. My lady is currently on a nursing contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so I know that she's safe, I sent her a pocket knife, a taser,
Mm-hmm.
pepper spray, and a cute little keychain for her to put it on. So if I
Mm-hmm.
can't protect you, I want to make sure that you can protect yourself.
Yeah.
And on top of that, one thing I do with my lady is I write her a letter every single month.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't give it to you in person, I'm going to send that
Yep.
letter along with some flowers.
Yep.
So this episode will come out next week, but our month anniversary is what we celebrate on the
Mm-hmm.
12th of every month. So on the 12th, I'm going to be sending her some flowers to her
Yeah.
front doorstep in Seattle. So that's just different ways that you can be creative. And the last thing I'll say is this: if your partner's in a different state and you guys are at the point where you're not wanting to stay together just to keep sex off the table into marriage, you have to be creative in how you guys are going to connect when you get to that state.
Yeah.
Whether you have your own personal hotel or let's just say me and my lady now we do long distance kind of. She lives in Katy while I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I don't stay at her father's house.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going her way, then I'm going to say, okay, what can we do as far as a date that we can connect, we can have a good time, and then I'll be okay with going back to my place. She goes to her place,
Exactly.
so we still have that connection. So
Exactly. That's
something to
spot
keep
on.
in mind.
That's spot on, brother. That actually goes into my next point,
Perfect.
which is one of the things that's gonna maintain or break this phase that you're in is zipper control,
Mm,
right? And this is for the men and the women, okay? Because we all have physical needs,
yep.
we all have desires. But if you don't learn to kill your flesh,
Yep.
long distance will cause you to cheat.
Yep.
Long distance will cause you to dive into pornography and masturbation on deeper levels than you need to.
Yep.
Long distance will have you just having in your eyes these lustful eyes for other people, other situations. It'll make you jealous of other people just because they have their partner there, right? If you don't develop zipper control, long distance cannot work
Yep.
because you're about to go 3 months, 6 months, however many months without seeing your partner physically.
Yep.
And if sex is so important to your relationship that you guys cannot feel intimacy without it, your relationship is going to suffer in long distance
Big
because
time.
it's too dependent on you guys feeling connected for you to have physical touch.
Yep.
So you have to learn some zipper control. If you cannot keep, yourself together in that phase as a man, and I hear this all the time, man. I can't go no 2 months without getting my rocks off. Brother, I got I got a beach house I can sell you in Idaho.
Okay.
Okay, because I got a news flash for you. When she pregnant, what's gonna happen then when you can't have sex with her?
Yep.
Right? When she's dealing with postpartum, what's gonna happen then when it's 18 months?
Yep.
I hear all these times about fellas. I think it's 3 months or 6 months before the vaginal walls heal after pregnancy, and you can finally have sex again. And soon, all right, I'm on it. But it'd be painful for the women because even though they're technically healed, they're not in a place emotionally. They're still in pain physically, and you're so focused on getting your rocks off because you can't get any level of intimacy with your partner without having the physical
Yep.
touch. You have to develop an ability to detach from the physical, to know when it's time to be in it, and be able to have some resistance and some discipline, some self-control whenever it's not time for it. And if you can't do that in this long distance, it is the relationship's not gonna make it.
Man, that's good. So let me ask you this. How did you build it for yourself?
Well, in the past, I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I was all in my flesh back then,
Yeah.
right? But in this state that I'm in now, the self control aspect comes from one thing that we already said. I do not spend the night over there, right? But how I managed it within myself is I had to realize where the source of my need for this physical desire came from. Oh, okay, Miles, you want this physical, connection because it reaffirms your manhood.
Yeah.
You want it because it makes you feel safe. You want it because it makes you feel desired. Well, how can you feel these things without having to have sex?
Yeah.
Because now I'm in a state where it's not because of long distance that I don't have sex with my partner. I don't have sex with my partner and I display self control now with not doing that because I do not want to sin. Right. But the same fruits at the end of the day, like self control, is going to help you in a long distance
Yeah.
relationship. Back then, what I would do is we resort to phone sex,
Yeah.
right? Having to masturbate to be able to feel some level of connection. But at the end of the day, that was not bringing us closer to God. And so if you want to have, but I always have to preface this because I see people in the comments, they say things from other perspectives. Look, we're not talking from a worldly perspective. If you want a relationship that is operating in a perspective that God would respect and honor, that's what we're talking from. Okay? So if you're not with that, don't worry about it.
This ain't the
This ain't
spot
for
for
you.
you. Yeah.
Okay. But for those of you who want something that God's going to honor and respect, and he's going to look at it and be like, you know what? Wow, they're brothers and sisters in Christ, right? They're not husband and wife. At least they're not sinning and they're not out walking in sin just because they're in a relationship together. Then you're going to have to focus on things that preoccupy your time whenever you feel lustful, right? You feel yourself waking up every single morning with erections, which is a natural thing that can take place. What are you doing that first 30 minutes that you're awake?
Yeah.
Are you meditating and praying? Are you getting active and doing some stretching, some exercises, something to preoccupy your mind? Or are you just sitting in your lustful thoughts? If you sit in your lust, it's going to be very difficult for you to realize that this deprivation that you're feeling cannot overtake you and that you can overcome it. Um, in moments when you're feeling lust around other people, what environments are you putting yourself around? Because if I'm feeling lustful and I haven't had my rocks off in a minute, I probably don't need to be putting myself outside around women
Yeah.
because I'm going to be easily tempted. You're sitting here and you haven't had sex with your partner in 6 months. And then you want to go to the strip club. Come on. Like what do you
100%.
think is going to happen? What do you think you're going to be thinking about? Even if you don't act on it, the Bible says that a man commits adultery. Jesus said that a man commit adultery within his heart and in his mind just by his thoughts.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it from that perspective, which is your self-control is going to start with the actions and the places that you put yourself in whenever you feel tempted. And if you're not developing that level of control, that long distance is going to really fall apart because of the physical aspect that's not being met.
And I think that's good to say and good to hear and good to know because there's also going to be times when you're going to go out with your guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your lady's not in the city.
Yep.
You may be going to a lounge. You may be going to a club.
Yep.
You may be going somewhere where drinks are served.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know your level of tolerance, if you don't know when to say no to yourself,
Yes.
it's going to be hard for you to say no to somebody else. And I
Yes.
used to tell people this all the time. If you don't have enough self control to tell yourself no, you will not have enough self control to tell somebody else no.
Mm.
And that's going to cause a lack of trust. That's going to cause a lack of commitment. It's going to cause just a lot of dysfunction within your relationship. And you're going to feel convicted because you may experience things out in public without your partner that you know for a fact you need to tell them, but you like to keep it under the rug.
Bro.
Right. And that's going to be big.
That's good, man. That's good. And I know we have points about communication. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
go too deep into that, but that is so real. That
Yeah.
transparency is another way to give yourself self-control.
Yep.
The things you keep hidden, the things you keep in the dark are the things that have more power over you.
Yep.
When you can speak on it and be honest about it, that allows you to feel seen, for you to feel understood, and it allows the things that may be your dark deep secrets to not have the same power over you that they once had.
Yep.
And so like you said, when you go out and somebody was flirting with you and trying you, and you know you should probably tell your lady like, yo, this girl just kept being persistent with me, but you don't want to make her upset, or what did you do? No, you got to be honest about these things. And I know that, like, fellas, we told so many times growing up, don't tell your woman anything if you don't want to worry her, because she's gonna get worried and all these different things. What she don't know won't hurt her, right? It's
Yep.
the old saying. But honestly, what she don't know is gonna be the thing that ends up hurting you and
Yep.
is going to end up hurting her in the long run. Be open, be honest, be transparent about those things, because then you're not allowing thoughts to manifest in your head and in the darkness and in your subconscious mind, you're bringing them to the forefront where you can deal with them and you can choose for yourself, do I want these thoughts to have power or do I not? Your subconscious mind only filters what your conscious mind says is important. And if you have to keep something hidden, guess what your subconscious mind thinks? Okay, any information that comes in that falls with this hidden area, take it, tuck it away. It doesn't tell it to throw it away, it says to tuck it away. You never forget it. It's laying there and it's building and it's piling up. And in your moments when you're by yourself, and those moments where you're laying down at night, they come back up in your head. And that's what causes you to pick up that phone and go to Pornhub. And now you gotta live out this fantasy from what happened that night.
Yep.
I know because I've been there, brother. I know because I've been there. Okay. So if you want to be able to control yourself and be able to get through long distance because of the physical aspects that are going to get in the way, you have to be not only in control of your zipper and display self discipline and making sure that you're putting yourself in the right circumstances. But when things happen that tempt you, when things happen that try you, even if they don't tempt you, they just try you. Be open and honest to communicate that with your partner. And ladies, you should feel the same way to do that back to your man. And that develops trust that's going to really hold you guys through this.
That's amazing. I like that.
Yeah.
All
What's
right.
your point number two?
Point number two, in order to maintain a healthy long distance relationship, you have to have commitment. You have to
Yeah.
be committed. Your level of commitment will determine your level of success
Mm,
or failure within your relationship.
mm.
Now, let's talk about commitment from a relational standpoint. When I'm committed to you, it means that in the midst of conflict, I'm turning towards you,
Yeah.
right? When I'm committed to you, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure this bad boy works out. And if I'm committed to you, in the midst of conflict,
Mm,
I'm not thinking, oh, I can find somebody else to do this. I'm
mhm.
not thinking I don't deserve this. I'm not thinking that, oh, so and so could do this better.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking about in what ways can I show up for my partner that'll make more sense? In what ways do I need my partner to show up for me? And what will cause us to break our commitment?
Yeah.
Right. So that commitment piece is going to be everything. Because at the end of the day, if your partner is not in the same city, not in the same state as you have access to people at work, you have
Yeah.
access to people at school, you have access to people at these clubs and lounges you go to. And if you don't have a certain level of commitment, what's going to hold you in that relationship?
Yeah.
What's going to hold you accountable to that relationship? So there was moments and times in my past where my level of commitment was not high, and that determined how my relationships failed,
Yeah.
right? Same way on the other ends. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing for my number two is your level of commitment will determine your level of success or failure when it comes to a long distance relationship.
That's good. So let me ask you a question. You're doing long distance right now, right?
Yeah.
Um, for however many months this nursing contract is going on, and y'all are on completely different sides of the seaboard. Um, when conflict arises now, how do you show commitment in your relationship today?
Mm.
And how does that differ from how it would have been happening in your past relationships when you had long distance?
Yeah. So what caused my relationships to fail before? In long distance, when I stepped outside of my window of tolerance, meaning I got in my fight or flight mode, I was pissed off. I feel like I had to defend myself or feel like the conflict was just too high. I would hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Quick to hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing I
Mm-hmm.
had no flip phones.
Mm.
Click. So quick. And it's a power move,
Yeah.
right? When I don't have anything to say, I'm tired of hearing you talk. I'm hanging up the phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that was the thing. When you hang up the phone, I used to be. It was very toxic mindset. I used to hang up and I used to expect them to call me back.
Mm-hmm.
Wait on them to call me back, and I'll just let that bad boy ring, and I'll deny it, and I'll deny it. And after the 10th call,
You'll
I'll
finally
finally
yes.
pick it up, right? It's all about manipulation
It's
and control,
manipulation,
right?
absolutely.
But now the difference is if you want to sustain something healthy, you
Yeah.
want to show your level of commitment, you have to sit in it,
Yeah.
right? So, I know when my lady needs to hop off the phone,
Mm-hmm.
she'll get quiet, and she was like, I'm gonna call you back. And I had to sit and say, No, like let's talk about it.
Yep.
Let's if you need a few minutes, okay, let's take a few minutes, but let's talk about it. And same way for me, she knows when I'm stepping outside my window of tolerance. And so she'll stop and say, What are you feeling right now?
Mm-hmm.
And me as a therapist, I'm always talking about feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime I'm pissed off or outside of my window of tolerance, I don't like talking about my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, No, but what are you feeling? And I
Mm-hmm.
realize to show my level of commitment, I have to sit in that and talk about my feelings and discuss what I need. What did she do? Where I feel it at in my body, and what can I do for myself to regulate?
That's
Like that shows my level of commitment now. So, is there times that we have conversations that are hard? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there times I hung up on her face? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Has she ever hung up in my face? Absolutely not.
Yep.
We kind of set that standard early
Mhm.
because hanging up in people's faces right now only opens up the door for you to do it later in the
Yep.
future. And that same thing that you hate is the same thing that'll happen every single time conflict arises. So, if you want to show your level of commitment in your relationship, if conversations arise that are too tough for you to sit in, one, you ask for a break with a promise to return to the conversation.
Yeah.
Two, you identify what it is that I'm feeling or what it is that I'm needing from myself or from my partner in order to regulate myself. And three, you decide no matter what it takes, we are not going to take a toxic route.
Yeah.
Our commitment to this relationship is going to be determined on how much we're willing to sit in uncomfortable moments, how willing we are to have uncomfortable conversations, and how willing we are to be present with the other person when things aren't going their way.
Hmm. That's powerful, Rex. You know what I call that?
What's that?
I call that stickiness.
Mm,
You got to be sticky. Like when situations get sticky, you got to be stickier.
that's good.
It's easy to just want to detach yourself from the sticky situation and just say, this is too much for me to be dealing with. I'm gonna deal with this later. Hang up on them, keep it moving, go about your day. It's a lot harder for you to say, in the midst of this stickiness, I'm going to get closer to you in this moment.
Yep.
I'm going to lean into you into this moment. We're not going nowhere. We need to sit in this moment. And it's funny because, like I said, where my relationship started and where it's at now is completely different. And so early on, we would have moments like that. We hanging up on each other and then denying the calls or waiting for the other person to call you back. Now, what ends up happening is even if we hang up, we don't hang up and like slam the phone on each other. Even if I'm just like, "Look, I just need to talk to you later." I know that I really only want to talk to her later because in that moment I'm just upset
Yep.
and I feel a type of way about whatever it is. And I'm like, I sit with myself. It don't take me long now. Within a minute, I'm like, you know what? Call her back and apologize. No matter what. It don't matter if you feel you were right or you feel you were wrong. Apologize because you need to open the door for her to feel comfortable as well, for her to apologize as well. You feel aggravated, offended by whatever was said or done. She probably feels aggravated about whatever was said and done. Who's going to be the bigger person here?
Yeah. One
Right?
got to do it.
We got to stay sticky, right? And more times than not, we not hanging up that phone anyway. We'll sit right here as long as it takes.
Yeah.
But I also understand that the type of person that I am, I can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
right? I can be, I can be overly critical sometimes. So sometimes she needs a
Yeah.
little break because I'm overwhelming her with so many things that I want to talk about, or we need to address this, we need to address that, because I have a fear that if I don't address them, everything's going to fall apart. The
That's
relationship's going
good.
to fail.
Yeah.
And there's safety to be found in a relationship where you can realize, like, bro, she not going nowhere, bro. Like, y'all got y'all problems, but she's with you through that. And you're with her. Y'all are sticky with each other. And in long distance, you got to be stickier than ever, because what happens is it's different when you living in the same house together and you don't want to talk about something. That's one thing.
Yeah.
You can go to another room for a minute. Y'all got to see each other. That conversation is going to naturally, because of the passing, going to happen. But when you hang up and y'all are not around each other, it's like cutting off your presence completely from that person. You ghosting them. You're basically saying, I want nothing to do with you because I'm upset.
Yep.
That's a totally different level of impact that it has on a person when you take that, because you know that's a power move, like you said, to hang up that phone, because I really got control over this whether we even have this conversation right
Yep.
now. And if I don't want to have it, we just won't have it. And you can sit there and feel however you want to feel and chase after me, just so that when we get on the phone, I can will you to think the way that I want you to think about it.
Yep.
But as a man as well, you have to walk in your leadership, and leadership is not manipulation. Leadership is protection. It is, even though I may have the power in this circumstance to make you feel the way I want to make you feel, I am not going to take that route. I am instead going to take the route that is better for the both of us.
Yep.
Right? That's going to be honest, that's going to be truthful, that's going to be open, that's going to be vulnerable. We got to be sticky.
Got to. You know, it's so interesting. I have a constant reminder in my living room of what not to do.
Hmm.
Right. Um, I remember in a past relationship at my current apartment, I was on the phone having a very heated conversation on the phone with an ex, and I got so pissed off, bro. and I stepped outside my window tolerance and I allowed myself to just get too overwhelmed and I threw my phone against the wall.
Mm,
I threw my phone so hard that there's an imprint on the wall of
hmm,
the outline of my phone 'cause I had a case on it.
hmm.
Also threw the phone so hard that the battery on the inside of my phone fell out.
Wow.
Right. So I had to go down to Verizon and get everything. I had to get a new phone, get it taken care of. But when I'm sitting down in my living room and I'm having a conversation with my lady now, and I can see that thing on the wall, it's
Yeah.
a reminder. All right, Rex, you can never allow yourself to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What are your triggers that makes you get to that point? What are certain things in a conversation? At what point do you need to take a pause? At what point do you need to take a break? At what
Yes.
point do you need to say, "Hey, I am becoming too overwhelmed. I am
Yes.
stepping outside my window of tolerance. I am no longer listening to understand. I'm listening to respond." At what point do you do that?
Yep.
Right. And so every single day I see it, it's a constant reminder of who I used to be and
Mm-hmm.
who I no longer ever want to be.
How many times do we sit here and we're always telling other people about their window of tolerance,
Yeah.
about when they cross the line? How many times do we do that for other people, but we don't do it for
Yeah,
ourselves,
way
bro?
too often.
Being self aware of who you are and your faults,
Yep.
100% mandatory if you're going to make it through long
Yep.
distance. Because anytime you're in a situation in any dynamic of relationship where there's deprivation present, self awareness is going to be even more important in those moments than it is when things are all great and good, right?
Hmm.
Because deprivation amplifies needs, it amplifies fear, it
Yep.
amplifies desires, it amplifies all these different aspects in your life that typically you can kind of subdue them. But what happens when they're elevated?
Yep.
And you have to know where your line in the sand is in your communication and in your commitment. Because if in the past, like you said, your commitment only went as far as your comfort, then you're not really committed at all,
Right.
right? Because there's no real sacrifice in that. But like you said, when you get to the point to where you understand yourself enough and you understand the commitment that it takes, you can get in contentious situations in a long distance relationship and be patient enough and be gracious enough to say no, because I care about this person, I care about this relationship. I can't just take this selfish approach that I've taken in the past.
Yep.
I have to take an approach that's going to benefit the relationship in total for where we're trying to be in the future.
That's amazing. That's really good, man.
That's
What you
good.
got for your point number two?
Man, my point number two is there has to be more empathy in the relationship when it's long distance for the partner's feelings,
That's good.
right? And this goes back to what I'm saying. Like, you have to understand if you're in a long distance relationship, there's going to be deprivation present. Deprivation physically, at the bare minimum, okay? Because you're not around each other. When you feel deprived, bro, you get irked, right? I was telling my lady, we've been having just some discourse the past couple of weeks, and I was trying to figure out like what is this about, man? We just having some small arguments over nothing. Like, why are we having these arguments? And I was waiting in church, and something about church just didn't feel right at the moment. I'm like, man, I'm standing here. You were there. No, my boy Malik was there already. We just standing. I'm doing my thing. I'm like, churches feel kind of weird right now. She walked in and stood next to me, and it's like I got a punch to my heart that said like, oh my gosh, she here. Like, awesome. I feel good. And I realized in that moment, and I told her, I said, I realized why we've been arguing. I said, I just been feeling deprived.
Mm,
I just been missing you.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not spending enough time with each other. We got so much going on in our lives. And we're not having a lot of quality time. Feel like we just going through the motions the past few weeks. And I think that is it's been irking my spirit. And so things that I typically see past, or not even see past, things that I typically know how to resolve and get through, I don't have the patience and the grace for them because I already feel like I'm missing something, right? And as we were talking about that, we realized like, okay, we need to have more empathy because she feels deprived. She's been telling me like I miss you. But I'm like, man, we just gotta do what we gotta do. But now that it's hitting me and I realize like, okay, I miss you too. We gotta be more empathetic.
Yep.
We have to understand that both of us are in a state right now. She's in school. I'm trying to build a business. We don't have the money, we don't have the time to just do the things like we used to do.
Yep.
But how do we find ways to make sure that we are taking advantage of the time that we have with each other?
Yep.
And how, in the times when we don't have necessarily time for each other, do we learn how to not take that personal?
Yep.
Put yourself in your partner's shoes and think about what they have going on in their world and stop being so selfish because if your partner could,
They
they
would.
would.
Yep.
And that is a deep understanding to have, especially in long distances. If they could, they would. Do you truly believe that about your partner? Because if you don't believe that about your partner, I think we have a totally different discussion that we need to have. Y'all need to sit down deeply and talk about the trust and the dynamics that make y'all not even think your partner would do it for you. But if you know that they would, you're gonna have to be more empathetic and less selfish in this season. So that way your partner and you will not be sitting there just arguing over every little thing, will not be sitting there being selfish over every single thing that you don't get. Because your partner can't give it to you right now. Focus on what they can give, appreciate what they can give, and that empathy will take you far.
Man, that's amazing. And one thing I'll add to that is this: if you want to be more empathetic with your partner, you must first be empathetic with yourself.
That's a fact.
You have to be able to identify. You said, I realized the way I felt, the reason I felt what I felt is because I was deprived. I needed more of her.
Mm-hmm.
I needed more attention. I needed more affection. I needed more hugs.
Yeah.
I needed more us time, more quality time.
Yeah.
Because you're able to acknowledge that, you didn't blame her or make her feel bad for something you felt personally.
Exactly.
So, if you want to understand your partner on a deeper level, put yourself in their shoes and see things from their perspective, you must first sit in your emotions, identify what it is that you're feeling, identify why you're feeling it. I call it like this: the what, the why, and the where.
Mm.
What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? And where am I feeling it in my body?
Yeah.
Right? You felt it in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
What was you feeling? You felt deprived. You felt
Mm-hmm.
kind of sad. You felt kind of anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because y'all didn't have enough time together.
Yep.
You answer those questions, you can become more empathetic with yourself. The more empathy you show yourself, the more capacity you have for the other person.
That's a fact. And that is a fact because that's what it was feeling like. I just don't got the capacity.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where it came from. Um, and that is so true, bro. But yeah, empathy is extremely important because y'all are both going through a lot. You both miss each other. Don't be so selfish that you're only thinking about how bad you miss that person.
Yeah.
Like, you don't be so selfish that you're only thinking about the fact that, well, I ain't talked to you. Well, they ain't talked to you either. Okay, it worked both ways. Every single thing that you ain't get, they not getting either. So y'all have to be more empathetic. You got to have long suffering, right? As Miss Walker would say, that long suffering, and it is you got to learn how to suffer well
Yeah.
to be in the middle of that season and understand that it's good for me. This is something that we're gonna have to deal with, but it's okay, and we're gonna get through it together.
100%.
Yeah,
That's good.
I want to hear your point number three.
Yeah, absolutely. So, mm, long distance relationships, if you want to sustain it, it requires a level of communication that takes time to build and seconds to tear down.
Mm,
Right. So, your communication. Long distance relationships are very interesting because one, we're gonna have um, work.
yeah,
We're gonna have family. There's gonna be times where your partner is gonna be free and you're not.
mm,
So during those moments, they're gonna want you to text back or respond faster.
facts.
There's gonna be times when you're free and your partner's not, and you're gonna be able to have to communicate those type of things.
Yeah,
There's gonna be times where you have a need that needs to be met. And if you don't communicate those things, you're going to expect your partner to be a mind reader. And
yes,
that expectation is going to cause for you to have disappointment because that's not nobody's job.
yep,
Right. So I need to communicate my needs. I need to communicate my standards. I need to communicate my boundaries. Right. When it comes to the relationship, if I know my partner's going out and she's going out with her girls and is going to a spot that I don't really trust or believe that it's too safe, I need to be able to communicate that. And she needs to be able to communicate her concerns. I need to be able to communicate if I'm feeling lonely. I need to
yeah,
be able to communicate if I'm feeling deprived. I need to be able to communicate my schedule,
yeah,
right? Because sometimes we don't have the capacity in our schedule.
yep,
I tell my lady all the time, the work that I do is it's mentally and emotionally taxing.
mm-hmm,
So if I have 5 to 6 sessions in a day and I'm having trauma filled sessions where we're talking about molest or we're talking about deep family trauma and I take on a lot of that information, once I get home, I need time to decompress.
yeah.
I don't have the capacity to
To hop right
continue
on the phone.
talking
Yeah,
about deeper stuff.
yeah,
So I tell my lady, when I get off, I need at least an hour and a half to myself.
mm-hmm,
If you're at my place, I would love for us to connect in the fact that we're beside each other.
mm-hmm,
Maybe we're hugging each other, but I just don't want to talk.
yeah,
Give me some time to do that, and then I'm willing to talk about our days before it's time for bed. Also, the communication is good for your partner because this is what she gave back to me. She said, "Baby, I realized that um, you're on the phone a lot, right?
yeah,
So you have your call with your guys in the morning, you have your sessions throughout the day, and then people call you all the time.
mm-hmm,
And I just don't want to get to a point where you give them so many of your words that you don't have enough words to give to me. Right? She said, I don't want to get to the point to where every time we link up, it's because it's bedtime
Yeah.
and we're about to get ready to go to bed,
Yeah.
or we're trying to watch a movie and you're falling asleep.
Yep.
I want I want the version of you that has the capacity to have boundaries between who can call you when.
Yep.
Are they calling you because it's money related?
Yeah.
Are they calling you because they just need a vent?
Yep.
Have your time set up to where you still have the capacity for me at the end of the day
Yeah.
or during the day. And I had no opportunity or no other choice but to respect it.
Yeah.
That's communication. She
That's
told me a
real.
need, she told me why she needed it, and she told me her concern for it. I was able to communicate my need, why I need it, and my concern if things didn't go that way. So communication is gonna be huge.
You know the big part about that that's so big, and I think it's the missing piece,
What's that?
and I'm even gonna take into my relationship because you understand it, but when you hear it, it's
Yeah.
different. You gotta communicate the fear,
Yeah.
the consequence,
Yeah.
right? Because without it, what happens is a person is going to only interpret it by their lens.
Yeah.
So you tell me that, oh, you're always on the phone with people. Um, I just be wanting some time, this, that, and that. You sitting there like, okay, but I mean, I'm busy. I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to give you my time. I'll be here, but you're not realizing the impact,
Yep.
right? You're not realizing the fear. You're not realizing the consequence that this person is coming from. Why is it so important to you that we have that?
Yep.
And I need the deep understanding.
Yep.
And then when the person says, well, my fear is that if you give all these people your time, there will be nothing left for me.
Yep.
I ain't got no choice but to feel your heart on that.
Okay.
Like I have to become more empathetic. I have to soften up a little bit and be like, look, all right, that I understand her fear.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's a fair statement to say because that is realistic. Like it is a lot that I deal with,
Yeah.
right? And I do give a lot to other people, and she is a priority in my life as much, if not more, than those people are. So how am I in the space where she feels like she won't be a priority at all?
Yep.
I'm not with somebody that's so needy that they're asking me to forsake all my priorities. They're
Yep.
just saying that is there enough left for me?
Yep.
Well, let me make sure that you don't ever have to think that.
Yep.
Let me make sure that you're reassured that there's always going to be something left for you. How can I adjust
Yep.
to make that happen? And to your point about schedules, in long distance, you must establish a routine of communication.
100%.
Okay. Like you should know how their schedule works and the times and the days where things are going to be good times for you to call, when they can communicate, when they're going to reach back out to you, and have proper expectations. When my lady was in Nashville and I was here in Houston, I used to always know on Wednesdays when we would record podcasts, we'd get out right at around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, around that time period. I knew that in that moment, she was going to be in between classes for an hour,
Yeah.
right? And so I would always call her and she would tell me the first thing she would say is either I'm taking my nap or, we good to go.
Yeah.
And I always knew, and I respected that either way because if she was taking her nap, I completely understand.
Yep.
You studying 8 to 12 hours a day, you're sitting in class, you need your naps to be able to make it through.
Yep.
But if she wasn't taking that nap, we were going to talk about the podcast. We are going to talk about her day, everything she had going on. And we were about to have a good 30 minutes to an hour to be able to connect. And then when she got done with classes that day and I got done with all the work I had to do that day, at the end of the night, around 8, 9 o'clock, when we're winding down, we're about to spend an hour or two on the phone until it's time to go to bed. Right? She knows if I'm in the gym, I don't want to be on the phone in the gym. I got to lock in.
Yep.
I can't be distracted by conversations right now because one, I'm trying to get something done for me. And two, I'm not going to be able to give you what you need because
Facts.
I'm really not going to be listening. So she knows if I'm in the gym, oh, babe, I was just calling to see what you were up to. Call me when you leave.
Yep.
She already knows that. We have a routine of communication. We understand the areas in life where it's like, hey, I'm doing such and such. We don't need to put up no argument. We don't need to put up, it doesn't need to become a big thing. Like, hey, they're in the middle of doing their stuff that they're busy with. When is the time for us to communicate?
Yep.
Okay, this is our communication window. And the key is when it's communication window time, make it about that.
Yep.
Do not be so preoccupied with other stuff that then you're messing up the communication windows. And every single time that we usually talk at 11 o'clock, now you always have something else that you have to do. And we're not adjusting to figure out when else we can do it. When it's time to wind down at night, you're still working on things. And I have to keep on asking you, are you listening to me?
Yep.
Because you're preoccupied with 3, 4 different things on your mind at the same time. You have to have a routine of communication that you guys commit to. And whenever there's adjustments to that, you communicate it. So that way, everybody understands that there's a time for work, there's a time for play, and there's a time for just us to be us.
Yep. That's amazing. That's actually really good, man. I don't have anything to follow up with that. I think that was amazing. I think people need to hear this, and people need to know that communication is key,
Yeah,
and without it, nothing works.
that's a fact.
What you got for next one?
My point number three, my final point, is that when you guys are in town together, when you guys do have time together, it is about you guys. It is not about anything else. See, the struggle is you do long distance, and you guys understand that you're in this period of having to deprive yourselves. You're gonna miss out on things, and then you guys get in person with each other, and you bring work with you,
Mm,
right? You bring friends with you. You bring other issues with you. When you guys already know after you leave from being in town with each other, you're about to not see each other for another 3 months, another 6 months, however long it's about to be. There is nothing that will make a partner in a long distance relationship feel deprived quicker, faster, and worse than when we finally get together and you're not present with me.
yep,
We're in the same room and we sitting here on our phones the whole time.
yep,
We're in the same room and you're on the phone talking to your homegirls. I'm talking to my homeboys, and we haven't had a sound conversation this entire time.
yep,
We order and take out because we don't want to do anything deep together. We're not going on any dates. We laid up in this bed all day, not doing a thing to really be intentional about the times with each other. Shoot, how do it feel like we're more intentional when we're apart than we are together?
yep,
When you guys are in town together, when you guys are together, the priority is each other. And that person needs to know that. I'm not saying that if you work from home or something, you can't have your time to work. What I'm saying is when work is done, you make sure you have something planned and ready to go because y'all have a limited amount of time to get your physical presence in together. And you
yep.
need to make up for lost time in those moments. Do not be so focused on everything going on in the world that you bring all the stuff outside into your personal moments that you finally do have with each other.
If you fail to plan,
Mm,
you plan to fail,
plan to fail.
right? And that's perfect. So let me ask you this: how do you make sure you prioritize that time with your partner?
Yeah. So when we were like long distance, man, when we would come in town, we had designated times that we were gonna do everything. So let's say I was working at that time. I was working my corporate job.
Right?
So we already knew okay from 8 to about 5 o'clock we can't do too much because I'm gonna be busy,
Yep.
right? But as soon as I get done, all right, babe, today we're going to the park. So make sure you're ready. By about 4:30, you need to make sure you're ready to get out the door because we got to go to the park before the sun sets. We're gonna have a picnic, right? Okay, we have a date at this time on Friday. In the morning, we're going to go to the gym together. Like we worked in routines, we worked in planned moments for us to be together, right? And we had to check ourselves. I would straight up say, babe, you've been on your phone the last 20 minutes. I'm sitting right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you please put your phone down? Like, we have all day to talk to everybody else.
Yep.
Let this moment be just us.
Yep.
The world will be there. I promise you it's not going
Yep.
anywhere. Whatever your homegirl's talking about in your group chat, the messages will still be there. It will be okay. What is more important, us being together or them? You tell me. And everybody knows. We all know that answer. Like, okay, I need to let me refocus and recenter and make sure I'm being present for what I need to be present for. So, to your point, you already said it. You have to plan for that. If you just walk into it willy nilly, y'all get in town and y'all don't have the right expectations and standards set, you're gonna go about it in a way that you think is right,
Yep.
not in a way that's actually conducive to both people. You may come in and plan a whole bunch of stuff, and you didn't recognize all the stuff they had on their plate.
Yep.
They still have stuff to do. You need to communicate, hey, when we come in town, is it possible for you to take some time off from work and I take some time off from work so that we have a full day together?
Yep.
Is that something that we can plan ahead for? Yes, I can, or no, I can't. Let each other know what's really going on because one thing that I found message each other up is you have your expectations, but you didn't communicate them to your partner, and they have their own things that they can't move around. Now you feel upset because you did all this hard work to make it happen and they can't even be present. And they're sitting here like, I would have loved to do these things, but you didn't communicate.
Yep.
So you have to get aligned on the expectation and the standard so that when you get in town with each other and you have those moments together where you're in person, they are valued. They're valued, man, and they're valuable, and you take advantage of it to where they can sustain you until the next time you see each other again.
Man, that's good. And it's just like expectation versus an agreement, right?
Yes,
Expectation says, this is what I'm expecting for us to
exactly.
do. But an agreement says, we are both agreeing on the thing that we're going to do.
Yes.
Prime example, at the end of the month, my lady's been on a travel contract for the last four weeks. She's going to be going for 30 13 weeks total.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see her at the end of the month. She said, "All right, we need to build an itinerary when we get here. There's so many things I want to see." I said, "Hey, to be honest with you, um, I want to come see you because I want our quality time. I don't care about a crazy itinerary,
Yeah.
right? I would love to do dinner.
Yep.
I would love to go check out some touristy attractions around the city or just around downtown. But my focus is to connect. My focus is quality time.
Yes.
Whether we're spending time just around the city, spending time at the hotel, spending time, maybe go see a movie. I just want quality time. I don't want to be busy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be busy.
That's real.
I want to be present. I
That's
want to
real.
I want to feel valued. I want you to feel valued and I want to feel like our time is worth it because at the end of the day, once I leave here, there's going to be a couple more weeks before I'm able to see you again and we're able to have these moments and then we have to go back to just FaceTimes every day.
Yep.
So, it's having an agreement and she was like, "You know what? I can understand that. Makes a lot of sense. Let's plan for that."
Yeah.
That's an agreement, right? You have to let it be known what you're looking for, what you're expecting, because at the end of the day, you do want to feel like a party. You
Mhm.
do want to feel present with your partner.
Mhm.
If I haven't seen you in a while and I get in front of you, you're scrolling on social media the whole time, I'm not gonna feel like I'm valued,
Yep.
right? If I get there and you didn't create a plan for me,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna feel like I'm valued.
Yep.
So that's really good.
No, and that's good because it's not that you don't want to do anything with her. The what you're communicating to her is, hey, us doing things is not more important than us being together
Yeah.
and being present together.
Yeah.
That is the priority, right? We can do things, but let's not be so focused on doing
Yeah.
that we're not being.
100%.
Right,
Yeah.
we need to be together, we need to be present, and that's tough because when you're in long distance a lot of times one person is more like ambitious about going out and doing things, the other person wants to chill. You have to get on an agreement with each other about what you want to do, because the worst thing is you come in town and y'all did a whole bunch of stuff but you didn't have no quality conversations. All you got is photos. You got photo ops and selfies that y'all can take, but you can't recall conversations, right? And then you leave and you're like, what was this trip really worth? Was this like supposed to be a vacation?
Yeah.
Or was it supposed to be me and you connecting?
Yeah.
And there's a difference between the two. Um, and you really do, like you said, you have to get in agreement on where you guys are going, what you desire for when you're in town with each other, because those moments are too important to let just go to the wayside.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good. My last point. So this wasn't even on my to-do list, but it's important. Because this is gonna really be the make or break for your relationship.
Yeah.
You must maintain a sense of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna tell you what happens when you don't.
Mm,
You begin to idolize your relationship.
mm,
You begin to put aside your priorities. You begin to put away your leisure time and your hobbies, and your partner becomes your hobby. Your partner becomes your main priority. Your
yeah.
partner becomes your everything.
Yeah.
When they're busy, you don't know what to do with yourself, so you have anxiety,
Yeah.
right? When you guys do have time to talk, you're staying on the phone for hours, even though y'all may not be talking at
Yeah.
all, because that's your main focus.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like without them, you're nothing,
Mm,
right? That right there would drive somebody crazy. That
mm,
right there, that level of dependency on your relationship, especially when it's not your husband, your wife, will make somebody turned off by you,
yeah.
right? And it could really kill a relationship.
Yeah.
So what do you do instead? Well, you think about what routines did I have when I was single?
Yeah.
All right. How much time was I spending with God?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I had my own personal Bible studies that I went to on Wednesdays. I went to church on Sundays, and then I had my own personal devotion in the mornings because I prayed. Okay, cool. What hobbies did I have outside of work? Sometimes I do golfing. Sometimes I take my dog to the dog park and I train my dog. Sometimes I have my guy nights
Yeah.
and we go out, we play pool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What else did you do for growth and development? Okay, I'm reading my books. I have time for reading. I have time for training. I have time to work on my certificates. All right, what were you doing for education? You figure out what it is that your life is based off on, right? And then you make time for your relationship.
Yeah.
But you don't make your relationship everything.
Yes.
Never, 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 never make your relationship everything because
Yeah.
once you lose everything, you feel like you start from scratch.
Yeah.
Your whole world is gone because you made your partner your world.
Yeah.
So if you don't do anything else, if you're in a long distance relationship, keep a sense of yourself. So when your partner isn't available, you always have something to be productive and not busy.
That's good. because it develops codependency,
Yeah.
right? If one person in that relationship don't got nothing going on for
Yep.
them, it don't matter if this is long distance or in person, it is overwhelming because you feel like you basically have to be everything for that
Yep.
person. Oh, well, you always have your friends to hang out with. I don't have. Okay, let's go find you some friends. Like, let's get you some hobbies. Let's get you some things that you can do because you can't be reliant on me for every single thing.
Facts.
I barely have enough to give myself.
Yep.
I definitely don't have enough to give you everything that you're going to need.
Yep.
I love how you worded what you just said by saying you make time for your relationship,
Yep.
right? The problem is in codependent scenarios and in long distance relationships, a lot of times they go wrong because the relationship is the main focus and then everything else you make time for.
Yep.
That's not the way it's supposed to be,
Nope.
right? You are an individual, okay? Y'all are a couple, but you are an individual first.
Yep.
And if you forsake everything that you have going on in your life, if you forsake your hobbies, the things that help you grow, then on one instance, you're going to be needy as all get out.
Mm.
You're going to be overwhelmingly needy. It's going to be like they're dating a child
Yep.
because every single thing that happens, you're going to work. What am I supposed to do? I don't get a job,
Do something.
read a book. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I can't be your answer to everything.
Yep.
And the second thing that's going to happen is if we are supposed to come together at a certain point and become married and the two become one, we are stronger as one if as individuals we have been working on ourselves.
Yep.
But if I've been working on myself and you've been letting yourself go because you're only focused on me
Yep.
and our relationship, what's going to happen is when we come together, you're going to be dead weight.
Yep.
And I'm going to have to be the support for everything that happens.
Yep.
I'm going to have to be the head, the tail, the front, the back. I can't
And
be
everything in
everything.
between. Yep.
I cannot be everything. And so those long distance relationships, Rex is so on point about this. Each person need to have their own. And I think that's one of the things that kept me and my lady going. It's like she was just as busy as I was.
Yep.
Right. And in a way, that's one of my most attractive things that I love about my woman is that she got some business of her own.
Yep.
She got drive of her own. She has ambitions of her own. I've never wanted a woman in my life that didn't have drive.
Yep.
Like I know a lot of men will say, "Oh, I don't want to hire anyone. I don't want this to look." I understand where y'all are coming from because sometimes women who have that are hard to learn how to submit, hard to learn how to take direction, hard to get to follow somebody else's lead. But for me, I always wanted a balance.
Yep.
I never wanted the complete polar opposite of that. A woman that has nothing and only relies on a man.
Yep.
I never wanted that either. I wanted a woman that knew how to go get it on her own, but also knew that doing it with somebody was better than doing it on their own. Right?
That's good.
You have that and you do long distance with that person. It's almost like a let me get this hustle right because later on tonight, I know my lady gonna come with some new stuff that she need to be talking about that she
Yeah.
got going on in her world. What I'm gonna have to talk about today.
And that right there is about to be my next 2 points I was going to make.
Uh-huh.
When you have something to do, you have something to say,
Yeah.
right? If all day you've been waiting on me to get off work,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm going to have all this stuff to spew out on you,
Yep.
and you have nothing to give me
Yep.
because you ain't been reading,
Yep.
you ain't been working,
Yep.
you ain't been networking,
Yep.
you ain't been doing nothing on your own. So I'm going to get tired of having a conversation with you. Because every time we talk, I know that I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be sharing everything. And if I'm not talking, then we're not saying much at all
Yeah.
because you ain't been doing nothing with your day.
Yep.
And the second thing is, you having a sense of yourself prevents you from needing your partner and just wanting your partner.
Mm,
When I want you, that means that I don't need you.
yeah.
I want you. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to spend time with you. I want to include you in my day.
Yeah.
I want to make you a priority. But if you go from that to I need you in my life,
Yep.
I need to be talking to you, I
Mhm.
need you to be on the phone, I need you to text me back immediately, that right there creates dysfunction for the relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rex. I don't have nothing else to add on that. That is spot on. It's perfect.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would say, and I mentioned this a little bit during that point, is you must keep God in everything that you do.
Yes.
Right. If you know for a fact you have your own personal relationship with God and you know you want your wife or your future husband to be on the same type of time, you don't got to force nothing on them.
Yep.
See what they are already doing for
Yep.
themselves. Do they include God on their own? Do they have their own devotion to God? Are they praying on their own? And if they're not, you got to ask yourself, am I going to have to teach them
Yep.
or are they even willing to step into that with me?
Exactly.
And if you know what you look for in a wife or a husband, you have to make decisions early before things get too deep. So, with that being the case, man, that's it.
That's good, bro. You got to have a person that's willing to try, that's
Yep,
willing to adapt. You both have to be that. You're going to do long distance. That's going to probably be the pillar of all the things that we're talking about
yep,
is willingness,
yep,
right? To change, willingness to sacrifice, willingness to communicate, willingness to go deep, willingness to put God into things when you're used to doing it your way,
yep,
willingness to deny your flesh, willingness to be empathetic,
yep,
willingness to have long suffering. Like you have to be willing. And if you both aren't ready and willing, then you're going to find yourself in a place where everything is going to feel like a drag. Everything's going to feel like it's too much. Everything's going to feel like a one sided effort. Both people have to be ready and willing to sacrifice and try and change for the other person if you're going to make long distance work, because this is not, it's one of the toughest battles you'll face if you ever have to be apart from your partner.
yep,
But it can also be a moment of some of the greatest growth because it's going to force you to go deeper than you've ever had to go before.
yep,
Physical aspects can sometimes mute and subdue aspects that aren't that strong in the relationship because you're around each other, but they expose them whenever you take them off the table. Just like we talk about taking sex off the table, whenever you are no longer around that person, intimacy, communication, all these things are challenged. Are you ready and are you willing? Are you up for the challenge? Because if you're not, we are going to fail in this season.
yep. 100%.
Well, thank you all, man, so much. Rex, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, so once again, it's your boy Rex Howard Jr., relationship and sex therapist, personal development coach, podcast, as you know. If you're looking for a counselor or a coach to help you work through your relationship, to help you work through things that are causing you to stumble, help you work through a mental and mindset blocks, if you want to help yourself become more emotionally intelligent, just more attractive as a person, what's because based off what's on the inside, then you can go to resolvecc.com and you can book a session with me.
Man, that's amazing, guys. Make sure y'all get at Rex. I am Miles the Millennial. Man, Miles Harris. If you go on any platform, you can find me at Miles.the Millennial. If you go to www.milesthemillennial.com, you can book me for a consultation so we can discuss how I can come into your schools, your organizations, or your companies and empower your students or your staff to make sure that the right mindsets are there, that cultural shift is taking place, so that not only can you reach your goals financially, but you guys can work cohesively to reach all the other external and internal goals that you have for this year. Thank you guys so much for your time, and we will catch you next week.
See ya next
Peace.